Nussman from My Boat Guys. Today, we are high atop on the J29, our current restoration project, taking a look at the last few weeks and the jobs that have taken place to make this boat what it is now. In just a moment, we'll be joining Garrett Falls to tell us more about what the last 3 weeks have entailed. As I mentioned before, currently joined by Garrett Falls, who's going to go into a little bit more detail about the work that's taken place over the last few weeks.
Our initial work done on the J29 has been mainly structural work. We wanted to get the boat back to a point where we knew it was structurally sound before working on more of the cosmetics and interior.
In order to give you a better idea of what we've done to the boat structurally, we can start from the beginning. When we got the boat, there was a winch mounted here, and the previous owner had neglected to rebed the hardware, probably ever, and water found its way into the fasteners that were holding the winch to the deck. The water then got into the balsa core and began to rot, and the rot then spread throughout what turned out to be this entire area. We started by cutting a small area away and peeling the skin back, and noticing how wet the wood was. We could squeeze the water out of the rotten balsa. We continued to cut back further and further until we found balsa that was no longer had water intrusion. It was no longer rotted. So we cut an area about this large out, and then we just went back to exactly how the boat was made. We used the exact same balsa core, glued that in, and then laminated the exact same thickness of glass that was originally put on the boat by Pierce & Tilton when it was built. There's then a light surface of fairing compound, and then a lot of hard work with a longboard to keep it smooth and keep it flat. And we've done this in, I believe, 7 or 8 areas on the entire boat, and this being one of the smaller ones actually. Another common area for this to happen is around the chain plates and the Genoa tracks, and you can see on either side we had issues around the chain plate and with both Genoa tracks.
As Garrett mentioned before, the spot that he showed you he fixed was rather small in comparison to the other spots on the boat. Just before, a gigantic wet spot. Now, a solid surface in which you can walk and even jump on. Having shown you 2 spots on the boat, we figured it would be appropriate just to walk around and show you every spot that we fixed and explain where some of the key spots that water can get in and how it can affect the boat.
Starting at the bow, the first area we found trouble was around the waist fitting. Moving aft, the hatch over the head area, both chain plates, as I mentioned earlier, both Genoa tracks, going back to that winch spot we talked about in the beginning. And then back here we had the fuel fill and a few other fittings that were later added by the previous owner. With the new rigging configuration we have planned for this boat, we decided it would be easiest just to fill every hole from all of the previous hardware and all of the old instruments, compasses, things like that, so that all the holes will be filled, faired, and the boat will be just as if it was pulled out of the mold.
As you can tell, there has been a lot of work that has gone into making this boat what it is today, and there's still a lot of work to come. Garrett, what's next?
Next, I'll continue to sand the deck. I'll be finished sanding all the areas, getting it down to about 180 grit. Then I'll move on to finish sanding the hull. We've already done some repairs on the side. We'll get done finish sanding the hull, prep for primer, and then we'll completely encapsulate the boat in epoxy primer.
Still a lot of work ahead. We'll keep you posted on the Facebook page and on our new website as it comes out in the next few weeks. And be sure to keep checking back to figure out what we're doing, both on this project and whatever else might come in the future. But as you can see, a lot of work to come, but we're all in. I'm Adam Essman, Garrett Falls, My Boat Guys, myboatguys.com.